Sure, yeah. I can see the mark, arrow mark only on my laptop. The lab type, I can see if the turnaround time can be decided by the site. We have a central testing laboratory with 9 collection centers. I can look at whether it's a single test ID. I'll take you through that. I'm looking at creatinine as a single test, and then I would retrieve data. Now, this is information. I have information about when the patient got the token till the time he was registered, registration to collection, collection to receiving it in the department, from receiving to result entry, from result entry to verify, and finally from verification to signature. So we have information of all these critical points. And if we need to actually look at the timestamps, we can go ahead and look at it. So what do we have here? We have information, we have records, we have data, we have numbers, we have formats. This is information. What do we do with this information? Try to understand. So we go and analyze this raw data and see if we can learn something out of it. And that is, we have set targets of various activities of 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, and 5 minutes. But when you look at what our data put out, is clearly from result entry to verification, what should have been done in 15 minutes has taken 140 minutes, close to 10 times the target time. And believe me, if somebody had asked me how long do you take to give creatinine in your lab, I would have said 1 hour. And that's because I think the lab is all set. But you see, the data which comes out of understanding the information is clearly that result entry to verify is way beyond acceptable limits. So we have moved from information to knowledge. And the knowledge is we have analyzed data and we have found the root cause. The root cause is that result entry to verification takes a long time. So what we do, we take a corrective action. Corrective action could be either auto verification, or we go ahead and tell one person to stay put and do all the verification in real time. So we do that and we monitor the change. So that becomes wisdom. So the importance of having the information at hand and going the full extent to understand what corrective action have to be done and how we monitor it would actually help the patient. I'll take you through the next experience of samples missing in a hematology lab. I'm not sure. How many of you have faced this? Misplaced samples missing in a hematology lab? Looks like I'm the only one who's, oh no, I'm seeing some, yeah. Okay, so we come across this often. We used to, but then what we did was we started recording errors. And one of the errors was the test for hemoglobin and HLA-B27. Sample is received and directly kept in the HLA rack. So the procedure was that the sample had to go through the hematology cell counter, finish the hemoglobin, and then go to HLA-B27 because that's the procedure. Now this person, because there was no procedure or a process, the person kept the hemoglobin sample directly in the HLA-B27 rack. Now hemoglobin was not done till such time the checking of pending reports happened. So there was an error, and based on this error, what we did was we looked at the root cause. The root cause is the current system did not have a procedure of receiving and sorting samples. So we brought in a procedure. Now this is the place where we receive hematology samples either from the pneumatics or walk-in, and we decided we'll keep a tray, we'll keep a table with 3 trays. And the 3 trays are an input tray, a sort tray, where we have multiple, and then we have an archive tray. So what this did to us is the person swipes or checks the barcode and then puts it into the, he first gets it from the input tray because all the samples first get into the input tray, and then the sample is sent through the LIS, meaning we just manually swipe it into the LIS and then goes into the sort tray. And from the sort tray, It goes into the instrument. The person who's doing the test on the instrument carries the samples to the instrument, finishes the test in the instrument, and comes back into the input tray. And if the test has another, if the sample has another test, it would go into the next test of a G6PD. And then if everything is done, it goes into the archive. Now, this has avoided tremendously the missing samples, misplaced samples, tests not being done on samples. And so it becomes user-friendly. To manage the information, it becomes user-friendly, and then we have gone from trying to understand the raw data all across to eliminating the error. So we went from information right down to corrective action and monitoring the corrective action. So the errors considerably went down. I have 1 minute left. Dr. Suvin? Okay. Post-analytical error result reporting. Now, I'll go quickly through this because a couple of years ago, a lady called me and said, Doc, you have given a report. The lab has given a report of pregnancy negative, but I have done it at home and it's positive. What do you want me to do? I said, please don't do anything. I will send my person, will repeat the blood sample, urine test, and that's what we did. As I keep the phone down, my technologist comes running to me. She says, I've done a blunder. I said, what happened? So the test device is positive, but while entering in the register, it turned out to be, I have mentioned it as negative. I said, that's fine, but what happened to the supervisor? Now, the procedure was that the verification of the test result should be done by the supervisor by looking at the test device and not the register. Unfortunately, the supervisor was on the 4th floor and the test was done in the 1st floor. So the person who did the test did not take the device, but she took the register to the 4th floor. Now this technologist is a very sincere technologist, very well known for meticulousness. So the supervisor believed what she had written in the register, countersigned the register as negative, and that's what went into the LIS. And the report was signed out. What we did was, the root cause was that the system allowed the error to happen because verification was difficult if the supervisor was not in the department. So what we did, we went ahead and put a camera, attached it to our LIS, and started capturing all manual results. So we now capture the device itself so that the person doesn't have to be physically present to look at the device, but it's easy for him to view it anywhere across the intranet and verify the result. This also is available for the signatory to look at when he or she is signing out the report. I introduced this concept for the pregnancy purely because of that error, which came out of pregnancy test. But when I was explaining this to my staff, they were very happy, and then they said they'll start capturing images of blood group, tube tests, card tests, cultures, culture plates, and the image management solution became very sustainable activity in our lab. So we have multiple records. Now, no registers are kept for these. They're all visible visual records. So if we need to understand what the report was or the result was, all they have to do is go to that patient record and it is visible. So I've talked a lot about information management, and communication becomes a very important aspect of it. I'll just take 1 minute. This is a small story of how a CEO is trying to explain the total solar eclipse to his staff. So he sends a memo to the manager saying that today at 11 o'clock there will be a total eclipse of the sun. This is when the sun disappears behind the moon for 2 minutes. As this is something that cannot be seen every day, time will be allowed for employees to view the eclipse in the parking lot. Staff should meet in the lot at 10 to 11 when I will deliver a short speech introducing the eclipse and giving some background information. Safety goggles will be made available at a small cost. So the manager writes to the department head, today at 10 to 11, all staff should meet in the car park. This will be followed by a total eclipse of the sun, which will appear for 2 minutes. For a moderate cost, this will be made safe with goggles. The CEO will deliver a short speech beforehand to give us all some information. This is not something that can be seen every day. So the department head writes to the floor manager, the CEO will today deliver a short speech to make the sun disappear for 2 minutes in the form of an eclipse. This is something that cannot be seen every day. So staff will meet in the car park at 10 or 11. This will be safe if you pay a moderate cost. So the floor manager writes to the supervisor, 10 or 11 staff are to go to the car park where the CEO will eclipse the sun for 2 minutes. This doesn't happen every day. It will be safe, and as usual, it will cost you. So the supervisor writes to the staff, some staff will go to the car park to see the CEO disappear. It is a pity this doesn't happen every day. Miscommunication can be dangerous. Fortunately, I can tell you it has happened in our lab, but not this. I'm still there. So it can happen. All of us have faced it because communication, when it moves from one person to the other, things can change. So in summary, information management, effective information management can lead to better patient care. And how we look at it is important. We identify errors, that's information for us. We analyze them, that's knowledge. And we take corrective action and monitor the corrective action, that's wisdom. So to live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. Thank you.